Hello, and thanks for joining another episode of Trader Talks. My name is Matt Lawson. I'm the Vice President of Dealer Software and OEM here at Trader, and I'll be the host of today's show. In case this is your first time joining us, this is a video series that Trader has built to drive discussions around important topics out in the market and inside dealerships. In some cases, they're insights that we have uncovered. In other cases, the requests that have been brought forward by our dealer partners. The subject matter of these discussions, we think, is typically around relevant industry news and our latest research or case studies that we've been doing with some of our dealer partners. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the used car operation, but specifically, we're going to talk about the reconditioning process, some best practices associated with that, and how to drive efficiencies to improve overall profitability inside dealerships across the country. I'd like to introduce one of our subject matter experts that is here to join us today. His name is Mike Boyd. Mike Boyd is the founder of a software called iRecon, which is partnered with vAuto. Mike has been involved in the automotive industry for over 23 years, working with the largest dealer groups across the United States. Specifically, Mike has focused on used car operations to modernize the approach as it relates to inventory management. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate being here.
And our second panelist, some of you may know, and is certainly a familiar face for a lot of Canadian dealers, is Todd Temple. Todd is our National Sales Director for vAuto in Canada. And Todd has more than 20 years of in-dealership experience, coupled with 8 years of direct experience selling used car inventory management solution known as vAuto Provision in Canada. Todd is widely recognized as one of our leading experts on this topic for the discussion today. Say hello to everyone, Todd.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me this afternoon. Good to see you, Mike. Thanks, Matt.
Good to see you, too.
All right, guys, let's get into it. We've got a few questions that have been sent through from some of our dealer partners and some other questions that have surfaced inside some of the discussions that either Todd or myself have been having with dealers in the last number of weeks. So the first one here, though, before we get into some of those specific questions, we thought we'd just start with you, Mike, just broad strokes. What are you seeing right now on both sides of the border as it relates to used car operations?
So used cars have definitely become a real primary focus. It's a real opportunity. Obviously, we always say used cars properly done is a huge opportunity, but now I see dealers all over really honing in on, being more strategic, the right car, the right people doing the right work at the right time on that car, which is great, because that's obviously, that's the world I reside in, where it's all about operational efficiency. But hearing dealers ask questions like, how can I be more efficient? What is that right amount to spend? How do I determine if I have the right people? Those are the big overarching conversations we're having.
What are you seeing, Mike? Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing dealers do right now or deploy in terms of a strategy to offset some of the downturn that they've seen from a volume perspective?
So I always say that, our job is to sell cars, and you can either sell more cars or you can sell cars more efficiently. So if, like in this situation where there's a bit of a decline in the volume, then it becomes about selling more efficiently. So that's why I was just speaking, where I see dealers looking at their internal operations. If we have a bit of a downturn, if we have a situation where we have less resources, whether it's the people who do the job or really internal staff, the job to be done still has to be done. So now they're saying, okay, this is the way we always did it. In the heat of battle, that's one thing. Things have slowed down a little bit. How much are we spending? How long does it take us to do that? Is that the right way? And is that the right person to do that? The other thing I see is that people, obviously, whenever things start to slow down, they start realizing that they can have more done by fewer people. So it's right sizing the job to the right amount of staff. So it's it's all about putting the right person on the right job at the right time, but really having clear expectations.
I'm hearing a lot of that as well. It's, there's a lot of stores that I've come in contact with that have had to make adjustments to overhead and, a major cost center inside dealerships, as we know, is people, right? And so how do you get things done with fewer resources, and still, drive profitability and scale properly, right? That's been one of the nuances that I've seen just in the last matter of weeks as dealerships have started to reopen and get back to somewhat of a normal cadence from an operational standpoint, right? The new normal, trying to avoid that term, but it is a reality, right? And I'm hearing that from Canadian dealers as well. What about you, Todd? What do you any conversations with dealers around that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right on, Mike, on that point. I'm hearing dealers who are scratching and searching for new efficiencies. And again, many of these stores are still running leans. They're running with less people. And that's probably going to be the case for the near term anyhow. So a lot of these dealers, again, just looking to get more from less in a lot of cases. And, fortunately, we're able to be there and help them with that.
Two things that I wanted to add to that, I think it's really important to note, and we've seen downturns before, not like COVID, right? That's completely different. But consumers don't change what their expectations are. So they're still expecting the car to be priced right. They're still expecting it to be reconditioned correct. If anything, they're getting even pickier, right? Because they know they can, and their money all of a sudden is a little bit more valuable. Because when things decline, you start really going, do I want to do that? And that puts the dealer in that situation of, well, how do I still maintain the same level, if not a higher level of job expertise, get the cars to the front line correctly, monitored, priced, the whole 9 yards. Having said that, since they're doing it with less people, I've seen a real surge in dealers looking more digitally. Rather than hiring people, you hire a tool. You can spend hundreds of dollars per month and make thousands of dollars worth of difference rather than add thousands of dollars to your overhead to not really see a return on it.
Yeah.
So those are the two big things. Customer expectations are not going to go down. They're actually going to intensify, and dealers still have to perform. So again, they're looking more digital, whether it's for marketing or reconditioning, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, great points. Go ahead, Todd. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I was just going to add to that. I was just going to say, look, Mike, there's probably not a day that goes by where we're not hearing back from dealers, that consumer price sensitivity is, at an all-time high. Their expectations from a price perspective are, higher than they've ever been in reference to having cars priced right. So you're bang on your consumer expectation point.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Mike, is the biggest opportunity for dealers in Canada? I know you've started to study the Canadian market a little bit. What do you see as the biggest opportunity in the used car operation for Canadian dealers?
So I actually got asked this question not that long ago. I really don't see a difference between Canada and the United States because we all sell cars. It's just, we have different areas in the United States. Some got hit harder, some got hit lighter. Same thing you have. Biggest opportunity is for right sizing, the right people, the right resources. And that goes all the way from their own internal employees to the external third parties, just everybody that it takes to get the job done. The other big opportunity is really to embrace the digital merchandising and the digital reconditioning, having tools that do the job. It's not necessarily saying you don't need people. I'm never going to say that, but people in their traditional roles, now is the opportunity to really say, okay, we have to look in. We still have a job to get done. Why are we doing it that way? Consumers have long said, I don't really want to come in. I just want to buy a car. You guys are making it hard for me to buy a car. We know that. And at the end of the day, I always say that it's okay if a consumer doesn't come into my dealership. I just want to sell them the car. So now we see dealers looking and really grasping for that digital option to put less boots on the street, less payroll, but be able to reach out to consumers in a meaningful way that they've been saying that they want. So again, the opportunity now on both sides of the border is to really hone in your internal operations. Look at the tools you have in place. Are they the right tools? If they're not, move on. But then get the right tool, train the right people, and enforce the use. So that way, as things turn around, and they always do, we know this. This isn't the first downturn. This is a very unique downturn, but things always come back. The ones who have taken the opportunity to really hone in internally are the ones that are there to get the lion's share when things rebound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to throw something in on that same topic. One of the things, again, that's just repeatedly coming up when we're talking to dealers is the right people in the right position may not be the same right people today that were the right people in the right position pre-pandemic. So if you're a dealer out there and these are thoughts that you're having, there's many other dealers that are having these same thoughts, and we're having discussions about those thoughts.
Yeah, I always say that adversity is the greatest lead to innovation.
Yeah.
And innovation is just sparking a new thought or a new way of doing things. So success is a horrible teacher. When things are going well and everybody's selling cars, there's no reason to change anything. We're all making money. Complacency sets in. But when adversity steps in and says, hey, by the way, that money-making model isn't quite working, right now, that's when people really go, okay, what do we do different? And they come out stronger. That's the thing. Think of it as an investment. Yes, things are a little bit slower. Now's the time to reinvest in your people and your tools, so that way you're better positioned than the ones who didn't, because they will fall by the wayside, because anybody can make money in a boom market.
Yeah, that's right. As the sort of owner of the software channel here at Trader, most of my discussions with dealers over the last, call it 12 weeks now, have been around people, process, and platforms, right? And it is the resources that you have from a people perspective, the platforms that you're using or not using, and then the process to drive efficiencies and continue to foster profitability or new ways of becoming more profitable. Because like you said, it's in a boom market, it was easy to make money, right? We knew where the consumer was. It was just a matter of trying to win the battle to get them in. And now we don't know where exactly the consumer is. And you've got to get strategic about how you're going to continue to find new money, right?
Absolutely.
So, real interesting stuff. And the thing that is encouraging for me, you said it also, Mike, we've been through this before. We know the market comes back. We know that dealers are some of the most resilient business operators in the world. But it takes them taking a step back and thinking through what their next step ought to be, right? And that's why we're getting a lot of feedback on some of these conversations. We're getting people that are, sending some great messages through, some great questions. The dialogue for us has never been stronger. I'm sure the same for you, right?
Absolutely it is. We're getting more inquiries. Dealers are now, hey, what do you have that would make a difference? I may have not, when everything's going great, wanted to spend the time because, again, everything's going great. But now they're seeking us out and saying, hey, remember that you were talking about iRecon, manage my reconditioning. I was like, no, I'm good. Well, now the chinks in the armor start to appear and they go, okay, yeah, what do you mean more efficiently? What does that mean? And what does that actually translate into in dollars and cents? And that's where you can have that meaningful conversation. And that's vAuto. I've heard this from day one, and I've been a long time user of vAuto long before they bought iRecon, and I came aboard a couple years ago, was that vAuto doesn't have customers. They have dealers that they partner with. So when they have problems, we have problems. Our job is to be with them, to give them solutions through those issues, and then also to be looking around the corner for the next issue that might pop up so we can provide a solution for that. So that's really what we're concentrating on, is the right product for the dealer, depending on their situation, and providing that, that information. It could be something as simple as just, hey, here's something I'm seeing on this part of the country, or here's what I'm hearing would work for this person, that whole performance manager model. There's just so many pieces that go into providing real service for the dealer, because like you said, they're resilient. They are. They just need information or tools at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Great points. So the magic question, right, for the subject at hand here and reconditioning, what's the magic number? What does it take to get a car frontline ready? What's the magic number of days that a top operator is working with right now?
Okay. That is the number one question I get asked by everybody. They're like, hey, I've always heard that it's 3 days. What is the right number for my dealership? And unlike everybody else, I always say the same thing. It's whatever's right at your dealership. The reason I say that is because based off your store, do you have off-site or on-site service? Are you mainly a certified pre-owned dealer, or do you just sell lower line used cars? What is your goal? How many cars you want to sell? What size restraints do you have? And how aggressive do you want to be? To me, the perfect number is 1 day. That's the perfect number. Yeah. I've yet to achieve it. And I've absolutely had dealerships that use iRecon, and we've got them to 7 days. And we're taking everybody out to, on cruises, we're high-fiving because it was such a vast improvement. But at the end of the day, because of where they're located in a big city, off-site service, so many different restraints that were just part of their money-making model, it just went into how they do business. That 7 was huge. And then they just start looking at it, chunking out a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more. But then I have some stores that are at 3 days. But I also have some stores that take an average of 8 tasks to get their car front and ready versus 3. So there's a lot of variables. I look at profitability, period. That's it. I don't get paid by the number of tasks. We all get paid to sell cars and make money. So selling cars by itself doesn't make you money. Selling cars efficiently and profitably, well, that translates into making money. So we go into a store, and again, we are vAuto. We are a vAuto company, so we already know the dealerships. We go in and say, hey, let's talk about who you have in place. Tell me what you do today. Let's figure out where your actual timeline is now, because they just don't know. Unless they can pull out their phone and click a few keys and have it pop up on the screen, because that's what iRecon does, you don't know. You're guessing. So first, let's pattern out what you're doing and with who. Then very quickly, our performance manager and management model kicks in with the strategy and optimization and says, okay, Matt, this is where you're at now. Where do you want to get? Let's pick a goal, but let's pick a short and long-term goal, and let's figure out what we need to do. Why did you do this in this order? And then you just keep strategically moving resources, adding resources, or in some cases, deleting resources. And it's continuous incremental improvement. Kaizen, continuous incremental improvement until we get to where we feel is good. And then we go from there and keep going. You should never stop improving. So it's a very broad answer, but at the end of the day, there's so many variables in there. I would rather concentrate on saying, hey, we're going to make you more profitable. We're going to put the right tool in your hand, the right people in the car, and we're going to give you all the information necessary for you to decide where you want to go. And I think that's a more compelling message.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, what are some of the measurements that you would recommend that dealers pay attention to?
So I like to use the term chunk it out. So if I say, hey, these are the steps or tasks. Really, we say tasks, not even steps anymore, because it's just a job to be done. But when you have a job to be done, we'll say like detail, the first thing you want to do is clearly define what done means. And then who do we have who's responsible for doing it? And do they understand what the deliverable is? And then you start figuring out that what is our monthly goal? What's our short-term and our long-term goal? Where do we know we have pain points and where do we think we do really well? And then let's set some metrics to guide by and measure by. Let's get a plan in motion. Let's monitor that plan, make adjustments as needed, and really hone in. So the big thing is understand what all resources you have, what they're supposed to do, what we're going to measure them by. They need to understand that too, have clear lines of communication, and be constantly looking to remove roadblocks.
Right. Okay, perfect. Todd, is this like a conversation that you're running into as you're in conversations with dealers about inventory management, used car operations? Is this a common subject that you're finding dealers are paying attention to?
Well, more than ever, Matt. As mentioned earlier by Mike, and I seconded it. Dealers are looking for efficiencies. They're looking to do more with less. So as we're working through, when we're discussing, the various aspects of provision and the various strategies that are associated with provision, reconditioning is definitely entering the conversation. Again, we've got some other challenges, which is a whole nother meeting. And those challenges are related to inventory supply. So again, back to Mike's earlier point, efficiency, getting the most we can out of each and every individual piece of inventory is going to be more crucial than it's ever been.
Can I add something to that? Something I think is really important to understand is that we can only affect the market so much. The market's going to affect us more than we affect the market. But what we can affect change in, and what we can control, what is a controllable, is what it costs us to do business. That's the size of our building. That's the cost of the electricity. That's the number of employees. That's the cost of our product and the cost of getting that raw product finished and into the hands of the consumer. So if you're facing market adversity, go for the controllable. What am I really doing? What am I spending to do it? And does it make sense based off the market pushing down to make me profitable? And it's amazing what dealers find. And that's where they're at. They're saying, hey, oh my gosh, I never realized that I could actually control reconditioning and what happens. So there, again, it's that looking inward, making positive change, and being nimble, right?
Yeah.
Markets in fluctuation, things are changing. It's about cash is king, turning your inventory, but maximizing your opportunity for each one, because you're going to have less opportunities, and then sell it and move on to the next. A lot of money is made before the car ever gets sold from your internal service, and then getting those at-bats and finance. There's just so many different pieces, that ways to make money that dealers are really examining.
Got it. Yeah. A lot of my conversations with dealers are in and around that as well, just operational efficiency. But inevitably, in any of those conversations, if I ask the question, how many days until you're frontline ready, just on aggregate, a lot of blank stares.
Yes.
And that's, I think, an opportunity more than anything for our dealers.
Well, generally, dealers look at success based off of how many cars did I sell. How many times is it relayed from the sales department? Do they really know how much that department made? They just know, hey, we told you sell 100. Selling 100, growth for the sake of growth is one of the first digital dealer presentations I did, and the title was Growth for the Sake of Growth is a Bad Business Model. You can absolutely sell your way into bankruptcy. I want everybody to know what we're doing, if it's making sense, dollars and cents, and then relay that across the team. That's how you build a team of inclusiveness. That's how you really maximize your opportunities.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so just a minute or two left here, guys. So Todd, just one for you here. Dealers are always looking for an edge, iRecon, the software that Mike created and partnered with vAuto on, we obviously see an opportunity in the Canadian market for that. What would you describe as the unique factor for, iRecon that helps give Canadian dealers an edge?
Yeah, so there's a number of different components inside the solution, Matt, but the one standout to your question would be the deep integration that's been built over the past year. And it's really, one of the biggest components to the 2.0 product that just launched on June 1st here in Canada. That deep integration, again, it just allows operators to manage inside of that one single platform, never really having to go outside of provision, which they're already working in throughout the day. They're working with the same person, same personnel. We call them our performance managers. These are really industry experts. Anybody that's a current provision customer knows exactly what I'm talking about. They've had intensive training on the reconditioning processes. They're going to be bringing our dealers best practices from around North America every single time they meet with them. So yeah, from my perspective, I couldn't be more excited to see what we're going to do and how many dealers we're going to help get to the next level in that still undiscovered piece, that we refer to as that reconditioning process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. And for you, Mike, being the founder and architect of the product from inception till where it is in its current form and what you're seeing it do for dealers, how would you describe the unique factor for the current iRecon 2.0?
It's the right product at the right time. There's always been a need. That's why it was created. I was my first user because I created out of need for my own store. But especially now, being able to provide a tool that adds clarity across so much that you really didn't see or couldn't control, and making it a controllable and helping dealers move to that next level. And really, it's giving them the tool for them to move to the next level. It's so exciting for me. It really is. And the conversation's changed. You remember, if I go way back and I would call a dealer and talk to a dealer and say, hey, do you understand how big of an issue you have in reconditioning? They'd be like, nah, I'm good. Now dealers reach out saying, no, I'm not good. And I'm hearing a lot of things, great things about what you're doing here. How does that affect me? That's a completely different conversation. So for me, I love engaging with dealers. I love what I do. I'm living my best life. So, being the vAuto and seeing the product, iRecon, which is my baby, grow up and do so much more. And the way it interacts with the dealers and the way it interacts with provision, where it's just not another dashboard we're throwing at a dealer. It's not something new. It's something they're used to using, but just even better. And then being able to tie in everything from acquisition and appraisals to the reconditioning, all the way to the merchandising and marketing. That's a compelling message. It's a product that dealers have to have if they want to stay relevant and stay in business. And it just makes sense. So from that aspect, I love these calls. I love the engagement. I'm getting more dealers saying, hey, just tell me what you can do for me and show me why it makes sense to buy it. And they are.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. And congratulations on, living your dream. That's got to feel good each and every day. Just one last one here. Todd, can you just describe for our audience, how is the iRecon product being supported in Canada?
Sure. So I alluded to it briefly in my last answer, but iRecon is going to be supported by the same people that are working with our provision partners across the country every day, all day today, and that's our team of performance managers. Again, these are industry experts. This is a team that's going to be, sharing best practices from our almost 13,000 customer portfolio across North America. And this is what we're going to do with our dealers. It'll just be the continuation and the expansion of an existing relationship.
May I add something to that quick?
Yeah.
When people ask me what's the biggest difference, to me, that performance manager, because I was a dealer, and you talk and engage with so many different people, and they're clipped and short. the performance managers aren't an outside entity. They become part of your team. They know your people. They know you're good. They know you're bad. They know what it's like to do business at your store. And their entire existence is to be of service and to make things better and to relate information that's valuable and relative to the current market. So having iRecon as part of vAuto doesn't introduce an unknown. This is somebody you're already used to. And when you have to look at bringing on a new platform, there's always pushback because you're changing things. But now you're actually tying things together and saying, hey, we're not really changing things. We're making things better. We're going to make you more efficient. We're going to help you sell more cars. We're going to help you sell cars more efficiently. And here's how we do it. That's a completely different interaction from somebody you know than just some new person off the street who says, hey, I'm here to talk to you about just this. Because the reality is, so many things have to happen correctly for a dealer to be profitable. You have to tie acquisition with reconditioning to merchandising and marketing. Your performance manager now works full circle. Same person for all of those different aspects. That's huge.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. The people factor, once again, it's the people, it's the platform, and, the process, kind of integrating those two things is, that's the magic, that's got to be the magic cocktail, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
hey guys, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Want to wrap it up here and be respectful of everyone's time. A sincere thank you to both Mike and Todd here for their time and sharing their insights today on used car reconditioning. No doubt it's going to be a conversation that's going to continue to persist through the end of this year and I'm sure next year and the years beyond. We're really excited about partnering and working closely with you, Mike, and getting you up here into Canada once the borders open up and speaking to Canadian dealers and going out there and helping, drive success for both our business and dealers. So thanks very much, guys. And thanks everyone for tuning in here today. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Matt.
Thanks.
Bye.